The grand hall at Harvard University was buzzing with chatter, the hum of intellectual minds filling the room. Professors, students, and visiting engineers huddled over a complex engineering puzzle that had been deemed unsolvable. Calculators clicked, papers rustled, and whiteboards were filled with dense equations. Confidence was high, but no one had succeeded. Among the crowd, a 9-year-old girl named Sophie Evans sat quietly with her mother in the visitors section. Petite, curious, and unusually focused, Sophie had always been fascinated by machines and puzzles, absorbing knowledge faster than her peers. Today, she had tagged along to witness the event, unaware she would change the narrative entirely. Professor Whitman, an esteemed Harvard mathematician, stood at the podium shaking his head. "I've never seen anyone solve this problem," he declared, gesturing to the intricate puzzle. "It's considered impossible. Even seasoned engineers have spent weeks without progress. This problem is beyond conventional solutions." Gasps and murmurs rippled through the audience. Sophie, her small hands fidgeting with a pen, leaned forward. Something about the way the gears and circuits were drawn reminded her of a toy she had built last week. She murmured a thought to herself, almost quietly enough not to be heard. "It's like my puzzle at home. I know this." Her mother glanced at her, curious. "What is it, Sophie?" she asked softly. Sophie shook her head. I think I know how to do it," she said, eyes wide with excitement. Her mother smiled gently. "Go on then. If you want, you can try." At that moment, the audience was immersed in discussion, dismissing the small girl's quiet confidence. But Sophie walked up to the front, standing nervously beside the whiteboard. All eyes turned toward her, a 9-year-old in a sea of adults, bold enough to step into the spotlight. She examined the puzzle carefully, her pencil tracing the lines, her mind calculating possibilities. While the professors and engineers had relied on complex formulas and theory, Sophie approached it intuitively, imagining how the pieces fit together like a 3-dimensional puzzle. Her small voice began explaining her reasoning. "See," she said, pointing to a section of the diagram. "If this part rotates first and this lever moves in sync with it, then the energy will transfer here, and then the whole system balances perfectly." Her explanation was simple, logical, and elegant. The room fell silent. Professor Whitman peered over his glasses, astonished. He stepped closer, checking her calculations. That works," he muttered under his breath. "She's correct." The engineers exchanged incredulous glances. A 9-year-old had solved a problem that had stumped the brightest minds at Harvard. The audience erupted in whispers and astonished murmurs. Sophie's mother hugged her briefly, pride and disbelief mixing on her face. "You did it, Sophie," she whispered. Sophie blushed, shy but proud, her small hands clutching the chalk. The solution wasn't just correct, it was revolutionary in its simplicity. Professor Whitman finally addressed the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sophie Evans. At 9 years old, she has just solved a problem considered impossible. Her approach challenges everything we assumed about complex systems." Applause erupted. Harvard had witnessed history in the making. News cameras captured the moment. A young girl standing confidently at the podium, chalk in hand, smiling with pride. The puzzle that had baffled adults for weeks was now solved, not through conventional methods, but through curiosity, intuition, and fearless thinking. Sophie's solution would be documented and studied for years. Sophie's accomplishment changed more than just the puzzle. It shifted perspectives. Professors began encouraging younger students to tackle problems beyond their years. Engineers realized that intuition and creativity could complement rigorous study. And for Sophie, the experience sparked a lifelong passion for science, engineering, and innovation. When asked later how she solved the impossible puzzle, Sophie shrugged innocently. "I just thought about it like my toys," she said, her voice soft but certain. "If it works at home, maybe it works here too." Her humility inspired everyone in the hall to rethink the nature of learning, problem-solving, and confidence. The story of Sophie Evans spread rapidly. Newspapers, academic journals, and social media celebrated the 9-year-old genius who reminded the world that brilliance isn't bound by age. Harvard itself awarded her special recognition, inviting her to return for workshops and mentorship programs. From that day forward, whenever anyone faced an impossible challenge, Sophie's story served as a reminder. Innovation often comes from unexpected places, and courage to act, even at a young age, can redefine what is possible. The little girl who had quietly observed from the sidelines had changed the narrative forever. And in her bedroom later that night, Sophie built another miniature puzzle from scrap toys, her mind already leaping to the next challenge. Unseen, unnoticed, yet unstoppable, Harvard had merely glimpsed the beginning of a remarkable journey.